Karen, a Democratic representative from Texas has now publicly called for President Joe Biden to step aside. Congressman Mike Quigley did not go that far, but after the president's debate performance, Quigley is concerned about the down-ballot impact if Biden does stay in the race.
This was a horrible debate, and I think we need to be honest about that.
Congressman Mike Quigley echoing a sentiment shared by many Democrats, but his concern is that if Joe Biden stays in the race, how will it affect other Democrats on the ticket across the country?
And whatever decision he alone can make, he has to understand and appreciate. That decision won't just affect who sits in the White House. It'll be who's in control of the Senate and who's in control of the House of Representatives.
Quigley praised President Biden for his accomplishments during the last 3+ years, but expressed reservations about the November election.
I thought Joe Biden was the best person to beat Donald Trump before. I think we have to continue to assess the situation now.
Congressman Sean Casten says it was a bad debate for both Biden and Donald Trump.
This debate is ultimately a referendum on the future of democracy. It's not a referendum on whether or not the president is going to be an old man. That's true regardless of which way you decide.
I would not see this as an episode. I would see this as what it was and what we believe it to be, which is it was a bad night. And he did, on top of that, he had a cold.
Today, the White House press secretary continuing to defend the president, but Congressman Casten believes the president himself should step up more to alleviate public concerns following the debate.
I think the right thing for the White House to do is to do more public press availabilities and show that this was a one-off event. But there are much more important things this election than whether or not someone is good at debating. If we have a lot more events, like that debate that continue to raise those concerns, that's a different conversation.
Now, tonight we've also confirmed that on Monday, the Democratic Governors Association had a phone call in which they discussed concerns about the debate. Governor J.B. Pritzker took part in that call. He is also expected to take part in another call that the DGA is going to have with the White House. Obviously, this is getting up to a lot of different levels, and there's a lot of pressure on the president to make a decision that's going to be best for the country and for the party.
A lot of meetings ahead.
Yep.
A lot of important people, Craig. Thank you.
President Biden will return to Wisconsin for a campaign stop on Friday. That same day, he'll sit down with ABC News' George Stephanopoulos for his first interview since the debate. The ABC News exclusive will air this Friday on World News Tonight with David Muir at 5:30 right here on ABC 7.
Watch breaking news on YouTube. Subscribe to ABC 7 Chicago Eyewitness News.